Okay, so in this episode, I have prepared you 8 combo bot lanes that I consider to be fun to play, very strong, interactive or not, very independent into trading, both by the AD carry perspective and the support perspective. They will give you probably some elo based on if you play them properly. You don't even need to play them like 100%, you just need to play them decent, and then if you go into the next step, which is the most important, to realize the mistakes or the misplays you did in the game and fix them, because in the very, very end, a repeated coincidence is not a coincidence. So a repeated mistake is not a mistake. It means that you could not see through something that you did wrong and you will do it again and again. So this maybe will cost you in the very, very end. So I prepared these 8 combo bot lanes, but will make your League of Legends life easier. So we can start with Kalista going or be partnered with Nautilus, with Thresh, with Galio. I think the 3 supports I mentioned are the strongest since they use Aftershock. They can be very tanky, they can enable you, and so they can enable themselves since they can go in alone. They can create a lot of crowd control, and Kalista with Hell of Blades mostly can go in and destroy everything. And after level 6, Kalista can also enable her support to play even more aggressive since she can pull him back, or she can throw him by initiating with her ultimate. And then the support is like, can feel like a playmaker in like a football, basketball, League of Legends. He can pretty much cover every area what there is in the game by not being punished at all, and can also enable the rest of your team. Tristana, with all these melee champions that I wrote, is functioning similarly, but it's not the same since she is a PTA user, which means that when she caps the bomb along with 3 hits from her passive, she enables the press the attack rune page, so she gets to do damage, and by doing that she needs to be enabled, or she needs to find the opportunities. She can also, as along with Kalista, can trade independently in most scenarios. I mean, obviously if you play against some very oppressive lane bullies, you need to be a bit more calculated into playing, but the moment you pick up even the slightest of advantage with its champions, you can open the map straight ahead. And by opening the map means that you start to create and pretty much make your pressure, your individual pressure, into a team-wide pressure. And this can benefit the entire team because your top laner may be losing, and when you swap, and then you go into his lane, and when you save his lane, he gets to play against like an enemy carry but is stuck with a pickaxe at 10 minutes. So, as you can understand, since he's a top laner, for example, his raw stats, his base stats, his spells are a way more viable early game than an AD carry who's just gonna use his left click and auto attack. You play with Alistar, with Blitzcrank, with Galio, and it's also pretty definitive. Like the good things when you play with melee supports is that you have to be into situations, or it's good that you are in situations where they can go in, and then you can also go in by yourself. If you start trading alone until he comes into that fight, you're maybe even done. You can lose 300, 400 HP, and then you are forced to put potion, and the enemy carry has his potion, he has his HP more, and then you can start getting bullied by losing pressure in the lane, which means you lose the ability to not contest, you lose the ability to not having prior, you miss the ability to even go and restrict the enemy carry into his area down under his tower. So you can understand you have only to lose. So you have to be very disciplined, and this is something that we talked about in previous videos, where discipline is very key into all these lanes, but you just need to play even at 60-70% to win them. Like, that's how strong they are. So Draven is like kind of jack of all trades, pretty much functions similarly with the other champions, but he can even go even more straightforward towards the enemy. He builds lifesteal early, same as Kalista, not the same as Tristana. Tristana has to go over rune page with lifesteal. He can actually trade by himself, he can even kill by himself the moment he picks a trade, and he picks a very good advantage. And if he has Nautilus, Thresh, Galio, all these champions are interactive in the way that they enable each other, and they can be good playmakers. They can 2 versus 3 mostly, even with enemy jungle pressure. You always have to be aware of where the enemy top laner, mid laner, if he can use a teleport, if he has advantage. Like, it's good to have this information so your play can be as calculated as possible in terms of a high risk, high reward play can be made through the human control into a low risk, high reward play in League of Legends. And that's something that a lot of people fail to understand. Zeri and Rakan, pretty much, I think, in my opinion, the best bot lane right now by far. It trades a lot, you can kill from level 1, Zaya with lethal tempo. Rakan also procs W from Zaya, Deadly Plumage, I think is the spell. So you can pretty much just run into the enemy, and even if you don't land the crowd control for Rakan, Xayah procs lethal tempo, the attack speed bonus from W, and her auto attacks, and she can just auto attack like 2 attacks per second or even more with lethal tempo. So it's pretty much straightforward. You can initiate by yourself, you can heal by yourself, you can set up crowd control by yourself, you have escape with Xayah by yourself. Rakan can also dash in, dash back, like a lot of mobility, a lot of creativity. You can play the game like you're playing a playmaker, kind of like Kalista and Nautilus and stuff. Really good. The thing is, Xayah and Rakan, in my opinion, is very good if you can get them together. If you play Rakan with another AD carry, chemistry kinda goes down. You kinda lose like the natural synergy that these champions have, because that's how Riot created them, right? Like they're lovers, I think. So it's bad if they're away from each other. So Xayah Rakan, if executed properly, will probably win you at least 9 out of 10 games. We have Lucian and Braum, self-explanatory. Braum 4 stacks, passive, stunned, enemy, your AD carry hits more. And Lucian has the passive, along with the dash, where he uses a spell and then he gets 2 auto attacks. I mean, the second is like 50% damage less and even more after the reductions. But straightforward lane, Braum, whenever he lands Q, or he can dash into creeps, and then you can run into someone, he can put the shield, when Lucian stays behind the shield, and you can damage the opponent easily. Lucian is also a champion, but the moment he gets an advantage, he can just dash into the enemy, and so Braum can follow up. While in the very start, it's like Braum goes first and maybe Lucian follows after, or they go together with her dashes. So it's important that you communicate with your duo queue or with your player beforehand that we're gonna play this, like depending on this matchup. So be aware of using the smallest opportunity you will find, since it's not functioning the same as every other matchup that is mentioned above, since they can't exactly run into the enemy, they have to find openings. These champions, they can just run into someone brainlessly and they will win. Jinx with Morgana. Jinx is a champion that needs to be protected, needs to be built. Static picks in League of Legends, especially in higher elo, do not tend to fare well against the opponent, since it's solo queue. Will play against 1,000 one-trick ponies, ranging from Pantheons and Zeds, and every assassin that is into the game, whenever he sees a Jinx, he'll just go for him, and it's a certain kill. And even if you don't kill a champion that has no inherent mobility, I mean, he gets from the reset, but it's kind of not the same. Until you get it, it's a different aspect. Even if you don't die in a fight and you stay with 200 HP, then you kind of cannot go back in, except if you are very decided or very predetermined that you just go in and you absorb as much pressure as possible, but this means you take cooldowns away from the enemy. So this means that you buy time for your team, you're kind of becoming a team player in your own way, but in your selfish way. Morgana provides you with shield, provides you the ability to not get crowd controlled, gen crowd controlled, and if she binds someone, when Jinx gets free auto attacks, she gets to stack her Q. This means increased attack speed, which means increased damage, because one thing also people fail to realize is AD carries have their own cooldown reduction, which is their attack speed in a way. The more you hit, the more damage you do, so therefore it's like kind of spells for the ability powered champions, right? Where you have your cooldowns reduced, so you can throw damage like Q Syndra, and then 3 seconds after you have it, well, Jinx can do that by auto-attacking, and so the more attack speed and AD damage, the bigger the cooldown reduction you have. And then with level 6 Jinx, you have your rocket, which does damage percentage missing from the enemy, so it synergizes well. It is also really fun to play, since every AD carry in my opinion that has a lot of attack speed is very fun, since it's very interactive, and Morgana is a pretty straightforward champion, doesn't demand a lot of strength, doesn't demand a lot of resources. You can also build him towards a mage later on, so it kind of differs from other champions where you just build tanky and they go in. You can go Zhonya's, and then you can pretty much function as a mid laner. We have Caitlyn with Karma, Jan, Nami, Fieldsticks, Vel'Koz, Zyra. As you can see, pretty much every champion is a ranged champion in this, not tier list, but in this section, because Caitlyn plays from 625 range ahead or away, and pretty much every champion that functions similarly is something that is very good with Cait, since your ideal way of playing this champion is to always push, always maintain a high line of engage, let's say in lane, and always restrict your opponent towards under his tower or even possible behind. So Jan is someone that can push with Q or like Howling Gale. she can harass with W before it was nerfed. Karma is a champion that also helps you pushing, helps you give you movement speed, so you can hit back and then go back, and then whenever the enemy AD carry tries to hit you, your movement speed that you got from Karma give you the ability to actually cancel his auto and then give your auto back even more, so you can mostly trade 2-4-0, like in a small trade with Karma, and then if he tries to get engaged, then Karma throws her Q, which can be enhanced, so you can understand it cannot go wrong. Nami is also a champion that gives the AD carry more tools to play, more individual power, so the moment you step on a champion, you can get the attack speed slow, the movement speed slow, along with enhanced buff damage from her E, and then you have your heal, which bounces 3 times, 2 on you and 1 on the enemy, mostly. Fiddlesticks, self-explanatory. You get to perma-push every wave, so the moment the wave comes, Caitlyn throws Q, Fiddlesticks throws E, at least 3 creeps are gone. And then you need around 2 or 3 seconds to push the wave, and then it vanishes, and then you're under their tower again. And then you are always trying to make them take a decision, because one thing we're gonna cover next is that bot lane is all about making the enemy make very bad decisions every single second or 2 or 3, like whenever they need to. So in order for you to do that, you need to be very disciplined, and you need to understand how many openings you are being presented and how much information you're gonna receive. In this lane, rarely dies, always pushes, which is very good in every pretty much aspect of the game. Plays from very, very far away, so even if your position is not the best, even if your support is not like a melee champion that can engage, well, he plays from far away, so usually he will not die. And you have Vel'Koz and Zyra, self-explanatory champions too. Vel'Koz pumps Q every 6 seconds. Zyra is a champion that roots people, so this can combine with Caitlyn trap. And you can have the push, you can have the plants, which can deny hooks, which can deny engage from the enemy. So you can get to play safe and even more aggro than possible. And as you can see, this is a lane where pretty much you can hit from whatever distance and you will get rewarded no matter what. Pretty fun, not to play against though. And for the last we have Kalista with everything. Like I write everything because this champion, at least in the very, very start, was like one of the most broken things I have ever seen in League of Legends in my 8 years. Does damage with your passive after the 5th auto, and with your Kalista W level 2, if your support gets an engage, you usually vanish the entire HP bar of your enemy, even if it's support or AD carry. Level 6, you have your own mobility, even press 6 with a E, where it gives you enhanced movement speed. It can be paired with everything really, it can be played with range support, melee support, auto-field support, a player that is not even, hasn't even played bot lane once, you just put him with a Kalista and then Kalista will mostly do the work. It needs to be enabled, but it doesn't demand a lot of stuff to be enabled. And you will always find an opportunity later on. Like always, there will be a stupid player that will get caught, or he will try to go for a ward, or he will try to go for a creep that he shouldn't, and then Kalista will find the opening. He can ulti behind him, unleash the Q, unleash W on a full clear target, and then his HP is gone, and you get the gold. I recommend that you guys play it, or at least try it once. If you don't like it, then you can go into the next one, but I'm pretty convinced that more than half of these bot lane combos are gonna do the work for you. All you have to do is be disciplined, have fun with the champions first, because if you are forced to play something you don't like, you will naturally do not evolve further in your gameplay. So make sure you enjoy it, make sure your support enjoys it too, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna win at least 7 out of your 10 games in solo queue, ranging from bronze to challenger. 2 things about this combo bot lanes. 1, you can be Thanos, you can do this and they vanish. And 2nd, we are the best bot lanes by far.